to BBB Sharing. I'm here with Mr. Brian Reed from Top Dollar House Buyers. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me over here.
Absolutely. So you are local to the Richmond area, correct?
Yes. Yep.
How does being local change your operations in cash buyers?
That's a very good question. I think that now we've only dealt locally in the Richmond, Virginia market or the surrounding counties. So how we base those cash offers depends on what houses are worth, and obviously that's kind of based on the local market conditions. And so I would just say, just based on where we are in Richmond, Virginia, and knowing what those houses prices are, even though every house is different and needs to be treated on an individual basis, that's what affects that.
Okay. So walk us through the process from the first call that you receive all the way to the closing.
Yeah, good question. Well, I would say that the very first call is really just a time to get to know the individual, or whether it's a couple or a family, whoever it is that owns the property and is interested in selling it. And so we're really looking to find out about their specific individual situation, what their goals are, what it is that they're interested in accomplishing, because the way that I try to approach the process is to find out if we're a good fit for what their individual needs are with the house. And so one thing I really enjoy is finding out what those unique goals and objectives are and whether we're a good fit for them. So the first call is simply just to find out, hey, what is it that made you interested in selling your property, right? Why is it that you called us in particular? What is it that you're hoping to accomplish? And just first kind of get those initial basic facts about the house. From then I can answer any questions they might have for us off the top of their head. But normally we like to then, if they want to take the next step, for us to take a look at the property, meet them in person if they are local here, would just be to look at the actual house so that we can figure out how can we make them the best offer that we can. So I try my best to work backwards from what an individual's goals are with the property, right? So if you are a home seller, we'll just take a walkthrough, kind of find out the details about, hey, how soon is it that you're looking to sell? When is it that you're looking to move? Do you need a lot of time? Do you need a little bit of time? Walk through some of the pros and cons of the process to be as transparent as possible. And then when we put together an offer, then what our goal is to make that process as simple and streamlined as possible. So the reason why a lot of people tend to choose going with a cash buying company instead of a more traditional home sale where you list it with an agent is they're typically looking for convenience more than anything else, maybe take a lot of the unknowns off the table, right? Like, how long is it going to take to sell? Exactly how much am I going to get? Are there going to be any issues that come up with inspections, financing, anything like that? And we give them however much time they need to be comfortable just signing a purchase agreement and then lining something up with the title company and closing company. So for us, from when they decide they want to accept an offer, it's usually within just a few weeks of just going over to the title company and attorney's office just to sign the closing papers and pick up a check.
You have, so, excuse me, in the home buying process, I know that there are negotiations that go on.
Sure.
Do you have people who want to sell their home try to negotiate pricing with you?
I'd say I think yes, some more than others. And again, this is maybe just me personally. I'm not a very high pressure sales guy. I just let like to let people know, hey, here's exactly kind of how we calculate offers. Here's what I know we can do. If something doesn't work for you and say you want more or something different, I'll do the best I can to see what wiggle room there is there, right? So I would say you never really, nothing's ever set so firmly in stone that there's not some kind of wiggle room somewhere, right? But again, I find that the more that people let us know exactly what they're trying to accomplish, uh, the better it is that I can see what tools that we have in our tool belt to help get them exactly kind of whether that price or sale situation is that they're trying to get to.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's a good question. Some very much more than others, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's just simply, hey, if we're a good fit for you, that's great. But if you want something different that I can't provide, I'll be glad just to tell you, hey, I think there's probably a better option for you. You might want to explore that. Worst case, we're a plan B for somebody. So
I love that, leaving it open for, discussion rather than this is just set in stone.
sure, yeah.
Can you share a story when you or your team
Mhm.
made a tough situation easier, perhaps for a senior or facing a sensitive move?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I have bought quite a few houses from seniors or somebody who's looking to take that difficult step to move into whether it's a retirement community or with family. And I would say one story that's not entirely uncommon would be a lot of seniors that I've met with tend to have houses that um, they're in good condition as far as everything's functional, and they're a lot smarter maybe than some of the maybe my generation or other ones where they don't look to always update everything to what's trendy or spending money where it's not necessary. So a lot of times I'll meet seniors where for them to get prices that they want for the property or for it to sell as quickly as they want, there may be more updates that would be recommended that they're comfortable with. So I did meet a couple that had more updates that they're willing to do. Also, the number of items that people tend to accumulate in a house, right?
Mhm.
One aspect of our services that we like to offer people is to say, as you've owned a house for a while and you're going to sell it, there's usually more things that you're aware of that you own until the time that you need to move, right? A lot of us have been there. And we always say, hey, if you're able to have an estate sale to get as much money as you can for any items, that's great. Anything you're able to sell. But if there's anything that you are not able to take with you or don't want to deal with having to haul, just leave any unwanted items there. So for this one particular couple in Chesterfield County that I remember, they had a lot of items where I helped recommend an estate company that kind of helped them get some income from some of those items. Also, when they were able to sell the house, they didn't have to do any updates, and they were personally ecstatic that they were just able to leave all the unwanted items in the house without having to deal with it. So, and then normally we just try to donate anything we can to a charity, but if there's something that we can't donate, then we'll just do all the work to haul anything that's.
Oh, that's pretty amazing to have that extra service and that, so that they don't have to worry about that. That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody doing that for people, so that's pretty amazing. What kind of questions do consumers not usually ask, but they should ask when coming to you and selling their home?
Um, I think that I would recommend, well, for anybody that's looking at selling a piece of property, whether it's dealing with us or somebody else, it's important that you are as informed as possible, right? So I think sometimes people uh, don't always ask for a list of references or ask to maybe talk to the closing attorney that's going to be involved. Also asking if the offer that they're getting is a net offer or like whether it includes other fees or costs. I know the first time that I ever sold a house, I had a much different picture in my head of what I was going to walk away with, right? Than after it was all said and done. And I think that a lot of times people don't always, um, you don't want to be surprised at the last minute. So it's important that the offer that they're getting, they know, are there any other costs that are going to come out? Is it a net cost? And can you at least provide, a list of references for yourself or anybody that's going to be uh, involved in the transaction, just to make sure that everything's going to be handled legally and professionally.
I love that. So you've named quite a few things so far of what sets you aside from other companies. Can you think of any other significant things that sets you aside from other companies?
Well, when it comes to house buying companies in particular, because we're not the only house buying
Right.
company, right? There are, well, like in any industry, right? There's other options. I would say that um, we tend to take more of a custom cons consumer-centric approach than others. A lot of companies will just like to just give you a fast number over the phone and not really sit through and kind of make sure you understand the process, what other options you have as well, to make sure that you're really making an informed decision. And for us, that's something that's really important. We like to get to know the people that we're working with, and we want to make sure they know all the options that they have on the table. Because being here in the Richmond, Virginia area, I find it's more of a smaller market sometimes than people think. And if the person I'm talking with finds out that maybe we're not the best option for them, I know that at least if I treat them respectfully and give them honest, transparent information, that they'll feel comfortable referring us to somebody else, even if it's not them. So I think that would be the main thing, is we just try to make sure they know all the options rather than focus on just getting the best possible deal out there. And also we try to be as creative as possible with finding out, hey, if somebody needs more time than they think, if they're trying to get to a different figure, we try to talk and figure out how can we work together to help them get to that goal.
And how can consumers find you?
The fastest way is probably just going to the website online. It's just topdollarhousebuyers.com. So we do have a 24/7 phone number that somebody can call and talk to a live person, or just simply fill out a little form on the site. And usually within 24 to 48 hours at the most, myself or someone on our staff will contact them personally and just start with a conversation like we talked about, just find out what it is they're looking to do, and if we can work on putting together some options for them to see if we're a good fit for what their needs and goals are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Please like, share, and subscribe. All of Top Dollar House Buyers information will be at the bottom of this screen. And we look forward to many years of accreditation as well as business in the community.
Thank you. Really appreciate the time. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we're done.
Okay. Great. Yeah, so I didn't know whether to ask before, or should I sometimes think of questions on the spot, just don't always, you always think later, oh, maybe I could have answered it better that way or this way, but I wanted to be just authentic too,
Yes.
where I don't, make it too canned or something.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And to be honest with you, this is only my fourth podcast that
Oh,
I've ever
really? Wow.
done.
Well, you're
So-
doing great. Yeah, with it.
So
That's
we do
comfortable.
bring notes,
Yeah.
very frowns upon it,
Yeah.
but he doesn't know, won't hurt him. And so I did tell you, my husband and I are new to the area, so
Yeah.
we're looking to buy a house.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's why it interests me on what you do is
Right.
because I would like to know that process. Oh,
Yeah.
because I might be buying that house.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
There was one
yeah.
question I didn't ask and I was like,
Yeah.
shooting myself in the foot, is you said something about inspections.
Ah, yeah.
So when you go to buy a
Right,
house,
yeah.
do you have it inspected before you buy it? Or,
Sometimes, this is where, now, for us, okay. What I'd recommend to, now, if it's a home that you're going to live in,
Mhm.
of course, absolutely get the
Always
full
get an inspection,
inspection,
yeah.
always that. Should I always get the full inspection? Yeah, sometimes, well, probably all the time, but most of the time when we're coming in, there are people that do sell us houses where, hey, there's not anything wrong with the house. It's just sometimes a unique situation where they might just want like a private sale.
Mhm.
It might be just, it might be a time thing. It's just a convenience thing, right? And most of the time, if it needs a lot of work, we're making an offer where we're saying, okay, we know that one, there's always gonna be some things come up we're just gonna have to deal with, right?
Right.
Um, but for the seller, when it's a cash offer, we kind of have some of those contingencies and I started doing this around 2005. So at this point now, just kind of walking through, I kind of have a good idea of like, okay, I either need more of a buffer or not. But most of the time, we just make the offer without needing like that full inspection on the property. And then after we buy it, I'll bring in our contractor and somebody to do a more detailed look and say like, okay, you have to deal with this, right? You should have thought about that, or so, yeah, I would recommend that anybody normally, house they're gonna live in,
Yeah,
do that.
absolutely.
Yeah, but otherwise, usually the inspection is me walking through it. And if there's really something I'm really not sure about, then I'll just say, look, I want to make you the best offer that I can. Hopefully this isn't if it's okay, I'll just bring my guy to look at this one particular thing.
Right.
That might be a red flag and I kind of know those things to look at. But it's not usually, the one thing that's different is when you're buying a house, it helps you. When you're selling, it's a real pain in the butt, right? Because when you get that inspection report, a good inspector looks at every tiny, oh, this doorknob stick, right? Here's the, right? And as a buyer, you want to know every single thing that's maybe good or bad about the
Right.
house. As a seller, sometimes you're like, sometimes inspectors will show you things that honestly, they don't even know if they just want to cover
Right.
their own bases. And they might scare somebody off as to something that might not actually be a real
Right.
problem until you bring somebody else. Like they'll say, oh, this looks like a structural problem. And then the buyer will get scared and walk away,
Right.
but an engineer might look at it and say, oh, no, that's normal,
Right.
right? And just,
Wear and tear in the house or
yeah,
whatever.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
What do y'all do with the houses after you buy them?
Most of the time, we'll just look to fix them up and sell them if they need work. So there's something I guess we don't go in a whole lot of we're talking with you, a seller, right? Our end goal is to help somebody else buy it, whether either right away or over time, right? So one thing I see a lot now is there's a bad rap for investment companies because a lot of people here, we're not BlackRock. I don't know if you know what BlackRock is, but it's,
I've heard of a little bit.
okay. So what happened was, and let me know if your time's.
No, you're
'cause I
fine.
can talk about this stuff all day, right? So I'll stay here until you kick me out and tell me you have something else to do, but it is interesting, So, um, maybe a decent, I don't know, within a little less 5 years ago, Warren Buffett, the really rich guy, all right, he made a statement saying, well, if I was gonna put my money into something right now, I'd put it into single family homes. But I'm managing $30 billion. It's not practical for me to own thousands and thousands of rental houses. But some other companies put together huge hedge fund portfolios, just started buying up tons of single family homes. And they intend just to hold them, keep them as rentals forever, right? It's great for the hedge fund investors and people, but for a lot of communities where more and more houses are owned just as rentals, it cuts a lot of other people out of the market, things like that. So for us, yeah, some houses that we buy, we keep as rentals, but
Mhm.
our goal isn't to own 200 houses
all
in
over,
Richmond,
yeah.
yeah, in Richmond and just kind of hoard
Right,
them,
right.
right? So most of the time, how we buy depends on how we sell. So,
Mhm.
and this is something, if you're a home seller, I usually put together, most of the time, if people are looking for a fast cash offer for a house, they know it's not gonna be as much as if they have the time to wait and sell it
Mhm.
traditionally on the market.
Right.
And that's something I'll walk people through and just let them know, look, if you're looking for the highest cash price you're gonna get for the house, a traditional sale where you have time to let it sit on the market,
Right.
and this is what it'll look like and how you should do that, right? If you're selling it to a cash buying company, we have to leave room where the way we make a profit is because we're going to try to do any improvements, value add to the house, and then we're going to just put it on the market with some of those value add things to resell it and make that profit, right?
Right.
And so that's most of the time what we do. Now, sometimes some people ask, well, can we get more than what would maybe we'd net if we had to pay commissions,
Mhm.
things? And those are for people that, we'd let anybody know that ask this, right? But most people are aware they can sell a house with seller financing,
Mm.
right? Most people hear about that. It's
Right.
been around since before I was born, right? You know, so it's not like some crazy,
Right.
but just not a lot. And all that it means is that the buyer just pays them in installments over an agreed upon
Right.
period, right? And so there are some situations where if somebody's looking for a full market value or more, we can say, well, we can do that. We just basically pay a series of installments until, we pay you the lump sum, right?
Right.
So it allows them to get a higher price, but the
Mhm.
downside, we let them know, is it's not right now, it's
It's not
installments over a period of time.
immediate,
So
right?
if you're somebody that already, and some seniors have benefited a lot from this, some haven't, right? Because I find that there have been a lot of people where they really need the cash out, they need it to move. That option isn't good for them, but other people, hey, we've already got another property. For us, we want to know exactly what we'll net. We don't want to give the house away, right?
Right.
We can benefit from that. And in that case, sometimes it makes sense where more we'll rent the house for a certain period of time and then we'll resell it, maybe a few years down the road or something like that. So we'll either sell immediately or we might hold and sell later, but our end goal is always to end up selling it to somebody else that's gonna be a home owner.
Right.
And I think that helps a lot in the Richmond area, because
Mhm.
especially, we don't need, we have some rentals, but we don't need 1,000 more Airbnbs, we don't need, yeah, all that. Richmond benefits just all around from more home ownership.
Right.
So, yeah.